intervento del professore. Sbagliato.
I'm going to do something I hardly ever do, and that's read from a paper so that it would be exactly as translated. Okay. See, what I would like actually, is there a light? A light. Okay, very good. Yes, okay. Humans are the storytelling species. This sets Homo sapiens apart from all other animals and is a common denominator across all human cultures. Every human social group likes to tell and hear a good story. And we tell ourselves stories all the time. Scientists often construct their stories using the three classical techniques of narrative: metaphor, simile, and analogy. Each of these techniques attempts to explain the new in terms of the similar. When we say that the mitochondrion is the powerhouse of the cell, I'm using a metaphor. When I say that natural selection is like a curator, I am using a simile. Analogies claim a similarity between relationships. For instance, a puppy is to a dog as a kitten is to a cat. Shakespeare used metaphors to make one of the world's most famous analogies: all the world is a stage, and men and women merely players. People are to the world as actors are to the stage, and each of us has his or her roles to play. Scientists use analogies all the time, and it is a major tool for popularizers of science. Indeed, analogies are commonplace. Think of such analogies as food is to the body as fuel is to the car, or cell is to the body as a brick is to a building. Analogies show that the relationship of one pair of items is the same as the relationship between a second pair of items. Okay. And I changed this.
Even with the arrow. No, you can use the keyboard.
No. Oh, go back? Okay. One of the stories we tell concerns fertilization. In the public's view of biology, one of the strongest analogies is sperm is to man as egg is to woman. Of course, sperm are made by men and eggs are made by women. But the analogy goes deeper in the public mind. Here, the sperm act as men act, and the eggs are surrogates for women. This analogy became explicit soon after fertilization was discovered, when one of the leading textbooks claims that the sperm were suitors, and the egg decided which one would enter her. Here, fertilization was the marriage of sperm and egg. Indeed, one has to recall that the scientific term for the sex cells, the sperm and the egg, is gamete, which means marriage partner. In the 20th century, the sperm were portrayed as heroes and the egg as the passive prize given to the victorious sperm. The female reproductive tract was the race course through which the sperm competed. The fastest sperm wins. In these narratives, the egg doesn't choose a suitor. Rather, the egg is the passive prize awarded to the victor. This epic of the heroic sperm struggling against a hostile uterus is the account of fertilization usually seen in contemporary introductory biology texts. The following that I'll mention is from one of the decade's best introductory textbooks, and I read.
Change the slide.
Change slide. I read, immediately, the question of the fertile life of the sperm in the reproductive tract becomes apparent. We have said that one ejaculation releases about 100 million sperm into the vagina. Conditions in the vagina are very inhospitable to sperm, and vast numbers are killed before they have a chance to pass into the cervix. Millions of others die or become infertile in the uterus or oviducts, and millions go up the wrong oviduct or never find their way into an oviduct at all. The journey to the upper portion of the oviducts is an extremely long and hazardous one for objects so tiny. Only one of the millions of sperm cells released into the vagina actually penetrates the egg cell and fertilizes it. As soon as that one cell has fertilized the egg cell membrane becomes impenetrable to the other sperm cells, which soon die. We might end the saga by saying, I alone am saved. These sperm stories are variants of heroic quest myths, such as the Odyssey or the Aeneid. Our spermatic hero is expelled from his kingdom, enters a netherworld of darkness, survives challenges among an arduous journey, defeats his rivals, marries the princess, and starts a new kingdom. The sperm tale is a myth of our origin. The founder of our bodies is a noble survivor of immense struggle who deserved the egg as his reward. It is a thrilling and self-congratulatory story. The details of these fertilization narratives fit perfectly into Joseph Campbell's archetypes of such myths. Campbell, however, believes that there is, quote, there is no hiding place for the gods from the searching telescope or microscope. In this, he has been wrong. The myth lies embedded in our microscopic science. By the way, there is ample evidence for the egg as mythic princess. The egg is not allowed to see the sperm until it is of age. And when it travels to meet the sperm, this ripe egg not only has a crown, but vestments. It is also said to have attendant cells. Okay. Although this myth is generally believed by the public to be scientific, the myth has nothing to do with what scientists know about fertilization. First of all, fertilization is about two cells, each at the verge of death, creating an organism that can last decades. Moreover, the sperm that are ejaculated cannot fertilize the egg. These sperm that leave the penis are immature sperm. These sperm get matured by interacting with the oviduct cells of the female's reproductive tract. The oviduct, the fallopian tube cells, interact with the sperm through a process called capacitation, giving the sperm the capacity to fertilize the egg. So the last stages of sperm differentiation actually occur within another organism. They occur inside the oviduct of the female. A capacitated sperm has a new cell membrane that enables it to receive signals from the egg. Then the sperm is activated by the egg. The egg provides the sperm with chemicals telling the sperm where the egg is and activates the sperm to swim as fast as it can. The egg also provides the chemical cues causing the sperm to release the proteins that enable it to connect to the egg. So, now, the cell membrane of the sperm can finally fuse with the cell membrane of the egg, and the two become one. The sperm does not drill into the egg. The sperm does not bore into the egg. Actually, if you look microscopically, once the sperm has reached the egg, the sperm spoons with the egg. Its membranes go on the cell membranes of the egg. They fit together. And then the two membranes melt and the two become one. It's not a violent act. So, this is different from the conventional view that says the sperm activates the egg. That conventional view is incomplete. Before the sperm activates the egg, the female reproductive tract in the egg activate the sperm. And last, now that the sperm is activated by the egg and the two are together, now the sperm can activate the egg because the egg is also immature. The sperm activates the maturation of the egg, enabling it to finish meiotic cell division. The sperm and the egg activate and mature each other. That is what fertilization is about. Reciprocal activation and maturation, not a race of masculine cells through a passive oviduct, competing to bore their way into the passive egg. Indeed, the first sperm reaching the egg cannot fertilize it. They have not been capacitated. They are immature and cannot fuse with the egg. Most of animal development continues in this way, with cells interacting to produce new kinds of cells. Thank you.
Ci sono domande? Domande al professor Kipper? Cercheremo di tradurle magari con aiuto. Naturalmente anche domande.
Mine is not a comment about the comment, ma è italiano.
Mi fa piacere se la traduce anche a lui, però così riusciamo a
Allora, io volevo soltanto dire, nel senso che non era più un commento rispetto a come lui ha presentato la fecondazione. Era una domanda del tipo: è la nostra cultura che sta cambiando, che ci fa vedere la fecondazione in questo modo, o è la fecondazione che in realtà funziona così a dover cambiare il nostro modo di pensare? Mine is just a comment in how much is our view of the interaction between man and woman changing our way to see fertilization, or is how really fertilization is going that has to change our way to interact between woman and man?
This is a very good question. As I said, in the 1800s, soon after sperm were discovered, actually, fertilization was discovered, which I believe was here at the Institute. What? In France, okay, yeah, France. That's right. It was independently France and Italy. Yes, the
1975.
1875, around it, yeah, but before in France, about 1872 or so. But yeah, when fertilization was first described, Geddes and Thompson described in their book as the egg sitting in its ovarian parlor with the sperm as suitors, and the egg would choose which sperm would enter it. And they said explicitly, here we see at the cellular level female choice at the macroscopic level, you know, and so they were very explicit. This is just sexual selection. Then you had the heroic sperm model, which lasted through the 1980s, and in the 1980s you got a split, I think, between the militaristic sperm, the sperm as part of an army, and if you read someone like Meredith Small, you will see the sperm described as a 0.00024 inch chemical warhead. And that you see that the sperm has to be against the fortified egg. But the egg is sending out alluring cues to the sperm, which have to attack this egg. And the myth here is almost explicitly Helen of Troy. That because in this socio-biological narrative, Meredith Small says that the cause of males releasing so many sperm is female infidelity. Okay? You can never be sure. So, yeah, for the same reason the Greeks launched 1,000 ships, we launched 200 million sperm. So, part of it, just like society split, part of it went into a very militaristic view of fertilization, and another part went into a very relational view of fertilization, that there's this kind of equality between sperm and egg. They have very similar tasks, and they activate each other. Yeah, so that the view of really kind of what male-female interactions is, I think, has a definite role in how we view fertilization. I just think that the data that the view that I presented is more in conformity with the data.
You say yours is more forbidden. I won't try to but then you will be translated. Qualcuno bisogna di no? So you're saying that this new view is more in accordance with the data?
Yes, but it's no less. Yes, I would say this view is in, I think, better accord with the data than the militaristic view, for instance. But it is totally socially constructed. I mean, if you want to say who's proposing this view, oh, there are these people in the academy, and their wives have their own name, or their husbands have their own name, and there's this interaction. There is also a view, which is a more radical feminist view, that the sperm that's fertilizing the egg actually has tried to get away, and the egg drags it in. And that's and so there's even that view in the literature. Yes.
Però io ci terrei a dire che se qualcuno vuole una traduzione ci proviamo. Piccolissima.
Una
sintesi molto molto stretta. Ha fatto una serie di esempi che mostravano come c'è una corrispondenza molto forte tra tutta una serie di visioni della società e visioni della fecondazione, e in particolare ha fatto vedere come c'è stato un momento nel quale una parte delle interpretazioni sono andate verso una visione molto militaristica del rapporto tra i sessi, mentre un'altra si è andata più in senso relazionale. Scrivendo appunto, uno può dire che sicuramente nuove interpretazioni che emergono sono più consonanti con i dati e con gli esperimenti, ma allo stesso tempo continuano ad essere socialmente costruite per queste date che
c'è una domanda prima di
riconducendo al tema della cultura che influenza il nostro modo di vedere le cose, la difficoltà che c'è stata nell'accettare la simbiosi e questa nuova visione, diciamo, questa teoria dello Ambiente potrebbe derivare proprio dal nostro punto di vista culturale, nel senso l'abbiamo visto succedere anche per esempio nell'esempio della formazione dell'universo, come noi abbiamo visto l'universo, c'erano già le basi per comprendere che la Terra ruotava attorno al Sole, però ci è voluto cambiare la concezione del fatto che l'uomo era al centro dell'universo e quindi non poteva essere il Sole, non poteva essere la Terra a muoversi attorno al Sole, doveva essere il Sole a muoversi attorno alla Terra. Quindi noi abbiamo questa concezione che l'uomo ha questa concezione di essere la specie, diciamo, dominante, che altre specie, gli altri animali erano proprio flusso e consumo, quindi accettare dal punto di vista culturale che questa cosa poi non è vera, potrebbe essere legata da questa cosa culturale su che
adesso in inglese.
Neglected the role of was due to culture of people were thinking more that animals were made in the use for humans, not after.
Oh, you're giving this to me. Okay. I think that the reason why we did not look at symbiosis for a long time was that it was considered an exception to the rule. It was marginalized. Lichens did this, a few of the fungi did this. The plant biologists knew about symbiosis and included it, at least in their physiology. The animal people did not. I think that one of the reasons was that we did not have the tools to realize how universal symbiosis was. It was good for nitrogen fixation, that's plants. It was good for corals, and coral reef formation. But for animals like mammals, nah. It was also, I remember mammals develop in a amnion which was thought to be aseptic. And it wasn't recognized until fairly recently that we continue our development after birth. And and we didn't have, until we had polymerase chain reaction, we didn't even know how many bacteria there were in our bodies, how many species there were, because most